Can you speak English?
Bismillah.
A little, okay, come. I'm very happy to meet you. I'm very happy for this news ما شاء الله. قل له أنا هل يفهم العربية أو الفارسية أو يقدر يفرق؟
Est-ce que tu comprends les langues étrangères telles que l'arabe, le perse ou autre?
Non.
ما يقدر يفرق، يعني لو أتكلم مع عربي أو أردو أو فارسي ما يقدر يفرق. قل له أنا سأعطيه جملتين أريده أن يحاول يكتشف الفرق بينهما.
Là, il va prononcer deux phrases et il veut que tu vois, est-ce qu'il y a, ou plutôt tu lui fais ressentir ce que ces phrases ont fait sur toi. D'accord? Donc tu vas essayer de lui dire quelle est la différence entre ces deux phrases, que tu ne comprends bien sûr absolument pas.
طيب اسمع الكلام الأول. ذكر رحمة ربك عبده زكريا إذ نادى ربه نداء خفيا قال رب إني وهن العظم مني واشتعل الرأس شيبا ولم أكن بدعائك رب شقيا وإني خفت الموالي من ورائي وكانت امرأتي عاقرا فهب لي من لدنك وليا يرثني ويرث من آل يعقوب واجعله رب رضيا. هذه الجملة الأولى قل له.
Ça c'est donc la première phrase.
طيب ياخذ الجملة الثانية.
Là maintenant, il va prononcer la deuxième phrase. Essaye de dire est-ce qu'il y a une différence entre les deux.
نحن اجتمعنا في هذا المكان ثم جلسنا في هذا الزمان ثم التقينا معك وجلسنا معك وأنسنا لما لقيناك ثم سوف بعد ذلك نفارقك لكننا سوف ندعو كثيرا لك. طيب هذه الجملة الثانية.
Ça c'est la deuxième phrase.
قل له هل شعر بفرق بين الكلامين؟
Est-ce que tu as ressenti une différence entre les deux phrases? Est-ce qu'il y en a une parmi les deux qui a peut-être touché ton cœur?
Voilà, la deuxième.
La deuxième, الجملة الثانية.
ارتاح إليها. طيب لماذا؟
Pourquoi?
Je sais pas, ça, j'ai ressenti pour la deuxième.
لا يعرف ولا يدري.
لا يعرف.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
طيب هو لم يستوعب الأول ولا الثاني.
Bien sûr, tu n'as pas compris ni la première ni la deuxième phrase.
طيب خلنا نعيدها عليه.
طيب, il va
يقول الله
recommencer.
سبحانه وتعالى قل أئنكم لتكفرون بالذي خلق الأرض في يومين وتجعلون له أندادا ذلك رب العالمين وجعل فيها رواسي من فوقها وبارك فيها وقدر فيها أقواتها في 4 أيام سواء للسائلين. طيب هل شعر أنها تختلف؟
Est-ce que là, tu as senti une différence avec ce que tu as entendu auparavant?
Avec non. Non, désolé.
Tu as ressenti une chose particulière?
Stop it. Get some help.
لا.
طيب عموما هذه الطريقة يعني حتى الإخوة بس ما يقولون أوه هي تنجح أو لا تنجح، هي ليست دائما مع كل الناس يكتشفون الفرق، لكني أنا عملتها في ألمانيا مع ناس أمس عملناها، كان معنا الشيخ أبو أنس مع أخ أيضا، وفعلا يشعرون بالفرق، لكن أحيانا في بعض الأحوال ربما بعض الناس قلبه لا يتجاوب معها. طيب.
Nice. Oh my God! Wow!
Before I start, I will show you or let you listen to 2 short clips and try to find out which one is Quran. Here's the first one.
ناشد الحق فهم الأكثر صدقا.
Now, this is the second one.
وينذر الكافر بالنيران إنها موعظة فمن شاء.
Alright, so none of those is Quran, by the way. Alright, let's go to see right here. Alright, these are challenges from Quran, from the God of Quran, saying that if you guys, because at that time there's many people that did not believe in Muhammad. They told him he's lying and he's just making up nonsense, which is Quran, and that Muhammad kept telling them, no, you have to believe me, this and that, and he said and then this surah supposedly came down on him, from Allah saying, do they say that the messenger has himself composed the Quran, and say in that case, bring forth just one surah like it, and call on all whom you can, except Allah, to help you with that. So basically, Allah of Quran is challenging them, telling them, okay, if you think Muhammad is lying, then try to make one surah just like the Quran. Basically, referring to that Quran is a miracle itself. So there was so many people at that time that came and they challenged, they accepted the challenge, and they made so many surah that's even sounded better than Quran, because there is many a hadith talking about a lot of people left Islam after this. One of them, we take example of Musaylima. Musaylima, he's somebody who everybody, if you're a Muslim, you should know about this. This is part of Islam. There is a whole book about him, and the hadith, and seerah, and everything. So he basically gained about from 20 to 60k or whatever of followers. And right here it's explaining why, even though he's a liar, Muhammad called him a liar, for saying the truth, for saying that Muhammad is lying. Muhammad called him a liar. They trying to explain that the reason he was called, he had those followers even though he was a liar, is that anyway, some nonsense reasons why. But one of them is very interesting. It says he spoke extremely well, and he could mesmerize people with his speech. So he was a very good speaker, and he's the one that made so many surah that sounds exactly like Quran, and that's why Muhammad hated him so much and named him a liar. And later on he ended up being killed for doing exactly what the Allah of Quran challenged him to do. He ended up being killed and cut into pieces for that. They cut him into pieces, literally, because he accepted the challenge of the Quran. How do you expect people after that to challenge the Quran? Because Muslims say, oh, how come nobody since did that? How come nobody have tried to do that? Because we have one example right here. Once he accepted the challenge, what happened to him? He got cut into pieces. Anyway, you can go and verify all this. There is so many, even Muhammad even took some of his poem and turned it into Quran. There is some of his poems, like if you read them, it's literally like the Quran verses is just Muhammad switched some words. Right here, the whole story, and this is one of the surah that he made. Al-Fil, Mal-Fil, Ma Adraka Mal-Fil. Anyway, Muhammad copied that surah exactly and changed it to Al-Qari'ah instead of Al-Fil. So a lot of people accepted the challenge, and I actually did surah that sounded even better than Quran, and due to that a lot of Muslims left Islam. Muhammad realized this is a big problem, and he had to fix it, to change it. So he came up with this surah afterwards and changed it from 1 surah to 10. So basically he said, if you think I'm a liar, and if you think Muhammad is a liar, then you have to come up with 10 surah that's like Quran. So now he upped the challenge from 1 to 10. And obviously this is a big problem, and Muslims realize this is a big problem. And if you go back in history, and if you look the history of Islam, you will know exactly that the surah of 1 surah, the challenge of 1 surah came way before the challenge of 10 surah. But Muslims now, they realize that this is a problem. They try to lie and say that, oh, God said come with 10 surah, but then nobody could, so he said, okay, come with only 1 surah. Oh, again, there is many problems with that as well. For one, you can't just fake history. Like, you can go back and check the seerah, and you know exactly that there is so many years between both surahs, and that the 1 surah challenge is way before the 10 surah challenge. And let's say you're right. let's say we're gonna believe you and say that the other challenge came first. How can your Allah not know that they're not gonna be able to do 10 surah, so later on he changed his mind and made it 1 surah? Why ain't he from the beginning, if he's so confident that they're not gonna come up with anything like it? Why didn't he from the very beginning say, alright, try to come up with 1 surah if you can? You read the hadith, you read the tafsir, Tabari, Ibn Kathir, and everything, you'll find out that they what they did, and they put him on the spot by making so many surahs better than Quran. He had to up the challenge and change it to 10. Due to that, he lost even more Muslims, and he had to live in Medina. He left, traveled, and came back way later. So there is many problem with that. For one, like, what kind of challenge? Like, how can you challenge a book and not make a third party to judge? So you challenge a book. You say, come up with a poem like mine, for example. But you are the judge. You can't have a third party judge. You are the judge. So basically you write a poem and you say, I am the judge, and you have to come up with something like it or better. But you going to judge whether the other poem that the person is going to make is better than yours or not. So that's exactly what Allah of Islam is doing, or Muhammad is doing. Because there was no party, there was no judge, there was no jury, there was nobody to decide other than Muslims themselves. So basically, when the Jewish and Christian back in that time, they come in and they provide a lot of surahs to Muhammad, he say, oh no, that's not like it. No, that's not like it. Until Muslims started leaving Islam, and then he realized there's an issue, so that's why he upped the challenge to 10 surah. And that's why he said, oh, you have the jinn and the ins work together and try to make a surah, because he tried to blame them or lie and say that they were using demons and stuff to create those surah, even though the Quran clearly states that no matter what you do or what help you use, you're not going to be able to. But Muhammad realized that's a big issue, and that's why he turned Musaylama to one of his biggest enemies. And Musaylama kept like sending letters, and there is a whole hadith sending letters of many surahs and many things, and he even like told Muhammad, I am a prophet as well. He sent this letter to him with 2 messengers. He said, do you believe that I am a prophet? They said, no, we believe that Musaylama is a prophet. And he said, if I wasn't prohibited from killing messengers, I would have cut your necks off right now. That's what you do to somebody who accepted your challenge, basically. So he accepted Muhammad's challenge, and due to that, he ended up being killed. Okay. This is another problem in Surah An-Nisa, Surah 4, verse 82. It says, do they not ponder the Quran? Had it been from anyone other than Allah, they would have found in it many inconsistencies. So, a couple problems with this one. For one, so you're telling me that any book that doesn't have inconsistencies, it should be from Allah. That's exactly what this verse is saying if it was not from Allah, you would have found many inconsistencies. So any history book, any science book that doesn't have any inconsistency, it should be from Allah. That's what this verse is saying. Second problem with this is it says you would have found in it, if it wasn't from Allah, you would have found in it many inconsistencies. Not just inconsistencies, many. Many, even in the tafsir, explains it that many inconsistencies. That means if it has a little bit, it's okay, it still could be from Allah. But if it has many inconsistencies, then it's not from Allah. Muhammad did this, or said this word right here, many, because he realizes and he knows there is no fix to the issue he had back then, where people kept calling him out on contradictions in Quran, and how come one day he come up with a verse, the next day Allah changed his mind and come up with a different verse, and one day he says something, the next day he says something else. Basically like when he married his daughter-in-law, his adopted son's wife. He said that God made him do that because he wanted to explain to everybody else that it's okay to marry your daughter-in-law after she gets divorced. But then a couple weeks later, when people left Islam because of that, and they kept calling him out on it, and they thought that was wrong, he came up with another Quran verse saying that adoption is no longer allowed, it's haram. So here's the problem with that. How can your God tell you that he allowed you to marry her just to teach everybody else that it's okay to marry your daughter-in-law? A week later, he says no more adoption allowed. So basically, if your Allah knew the future, he would have known that he's gonna deny the adoption. So there was no need for him to make you marry her or to teach that lesson for 1 week. There was no need for that. But anyway, go back to the subject of this. So if there is a book that doesn't have any inconsistencies, what we understand from this, that it means it's from Allah, but any book that has just a little bit, it's okay, it still could be from Allah. As long as it doesn't have many inconsistencies, it should be alright. It still qualifies, I guess. The other problem with this challenge of the Quran is it never specified what the challenge is. It never specified whether it's you challenge to come up with a better verse, like in what side, like the language. Because if the language, then this challenge only to Arab people. You can't ask a Chinese or a Japanese or somebody else to come up with a better verse in Arabic. So is it in the meaning? Because if it's in the meaning, that's a big problem as well. What kind of meaning that show miracle in this Quran that talking about killing anybody who doesn't believe in Islam, talking about screwing every woman offer herself to you, marry more than one, marry for one. Like what kind of miracle in this that people cannot or will not be able to come up with a better verse? Like Muslims convince themselves that this is a miraculous book. They convince themselves that this is something that cannot be, like they are their own judge. They are the only one that will judge no matter what you do. Like there is so many books now that they have way better morals than Quran. They talk about love, forgiveness. I'm not gonna even talk about Bible because everybody knows there is not even comparison to what Jesus taught in the New Testament and the Bible versus to what Muhammad teaches. So I'm not going to go there. We're going to talk about just, regular books. There is many books that have way more morals, better morals, and talk about love and forgiveness, and talk about peace and how to treat people versus what Quran teaches. Many other problems. Many other problems, and I'll show you 2 more clips and try to tell the difference between which one is Quran and which one is not.
تلك التي ترددون وبها تتعبدون وفي الصلاة لها ذاكرون.
Here's another one.
وإذ قرأتم في الكتاب أن الشمس تغرب في عين حمئة وكنتم تجهلون ما لكم به من علم إن تتبعون إلا الظن ولكن لا تعلمون. والأرض تجري حول شمسها ولكن لا تشعر.
Again, I tricked you. None of those are Quran. To the ones who don't speak Arabic, you most likely thought that one of these is Quran. One of the four I showed, but none of these is Quran. This is just to show that the citation of Quran is just a singing. It's just a voice. It's just somebody, just people know how to sing.
كان اسمي